Booktubers! Hi guys and welcome back to Slice of Mike. Today I've asked my friend Alex to join me in a very special discussion about writing and more specifically how to write better. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention that Alex has two books out right now. The first one is called The Second Chances of Priam Wood, which is about a guy who dies and is given the chance to relive the 7 days in his life that he regrets the most, and he can change certain things about those days. And the second book is called What Happened to Marilyn, which is about a time traveler who goes back and saves Marilyn Monroe from committing suicide, and then she travels to the future in Savannah, Georgia, and craziness ensues. If you guys are interested in learning more about these books, you can check out my links in the description box below. I'll also leave a link to his website, and you can check him out there at arigby.com. So without further ado, these are Alex's 10 tips for writing better. I will chime in occasionally, but I'm probably just gonna sit here and make goofy faces.
First tip. I already forget.
Great start.
How to get yourself to actually sit down and write. That's one of the things I find the hardest to accomplish, actually motivating myself to get in front of the computer and start a story. Do some things that help you get in the mood to write. Listen to some music, drink some wine.
I'm drinking wine right now.
Second tip. Outlining something really important to do if you're planning on a book, especially if it's complicated. I find that making outlines before I start a book, maybe even just a general outline of the overall plot, is really helpful. Or you can do chapter by chapter outlines as you're writing. The fun thing is, you don't have to stick to your outline. You can change it as you go along.
I think a lot of authors say that once they get into a story, it takes on a life of its own, and then you just kind of find that it goes its own direction and you just follow the story.
Certainly, I agree with that completely.
Certainly.
Hello, we're British. Tip number 3, style choices. Some of the style choices that you can use to change how your book comes across are first or third person, past or present tense. How many people are going to be telling your story? Are you going to have one primary protagonist or antagonist, or are you going to have a bunch? You could have a village or a single person. It's all up to you.
Right. Tip number 4.
Tip 4.
Tip.
Writing something that's challenging. For instance, with Marilyn, my most recent book, I did a year of research. I watched all of her movies. I read biographies about her. It's kind of fun when you have to work in order to create the story that you've been thinking about for so long.
So like, I would go over to Alex's house and he would have these Marilyn movies on, and
they're wonderful.
They're an acquired taste, maybe.
Tip number 5. Write something that you can't get out of your head. I found with my books that the stories that I really am interested in writing are the kinds of stories that I think about over and over. They just jumble up in here and don't want to leave.
Such a jumble.
If a story is that persistent in your head, maybe it's because you should write it down and share it with others.
Tip number 6.
Write something that's new. It's really important to come up with something new that people haven't read before. That's what's going to make your book stand out and shine on the shelf, and make people want to pick it up.
That's a catchy phrase.
Shine on the shelf!
Shine on your shelf!
Shine across America! Tip 7. Reading is so important if you're a writer. You're going to find so many different influences that come out of the books that you're exploring, and then you can use those in your book. Tip 8. You're drinking a lot of coffee.
It's wine, remember?
He had a long night last night.
I was in bed by 10.
Tip 8 is what I like to call book mashups. For both of my books, I found that taking elements of books that I love and intertwining them in new and completely unique ways is a cool way to get inspiration for your book.
So like in the YA genre especially, books are always described as being a cross between this book and that book, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not, but I think that really speaks to the appeal of reading books that are similar to what you've already read, but are presented in a new light.
Yeah, and it's a really good way to promote your book too, especially if you're an indie author.
Tip number 9.
Read not only genres that you love, but books that are outside of your comfort zone. If you're a lover of fiction, that's awesome. I think we all love fiction. But read some non-fiction books once in a while. It's really important to read different kinds of material. Even magazines, blogs. You can find inspiration from so many different places.
Yeah, I totally agree. The last tip is...
Tip 10.
The last tip is read books... Oh my god, this is... We were doing so well until now. Okay, so the last tip, tip number 10, is to read books that are designed to help people write better. I have 2 books, and he's going to talk about this one that he hasn't read. So...
Okay, so I'm not really going to talk about it, but it's called Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. It's supposed to be a really amazing book to sort of help you write.
But he's never read it.
Yeah, but it's probably great, come on.
And the 2 books that I have, the first one is called The Gotham Writers Workshop, Writing Fiction, The Practical Guide from... That's a long title. It's just called Writing Fiction.
It's yellow and bright, you'll find it if you're looking for it.
So this is a book that's kind of written like a textbook. It goes through each part of the novel writing process, like characters and plot and crap like that. So I've read this and I really, really recommend this if you're looking for an in-depth guide to how to write. And the second book I have is Stephen King's On Writing, which is about his experience as a writer. It's kind of autobiographical, but he also talks about how he writes and the different things that you have to do as a writer and just the kind of drama that writing presents.
And I'm gonna borrow this because, as you know, I love Stephen King. Well, 11/22/63, so I'm gonna take this.
Okay.
Thanks.
So those are all the tips we have for you today. If you guys have other questions you'd like to ask Alex, you can find him on Twitter. His Twitter handle is author_Alex, and like I mentioned, his website is arigby.com. You can also leave a comment on the video, although I'll probably be more likely to respond to that, and I can't guarantee I'll have anything helpful to say. I might say something cute and funny.
He might try.
Such as I'm known for, obviously. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you liked it, I might invite Alex on to discuss publishing or more about writing in the future, so let me know if you'd like to see more of that. And that's going to be all for today, so goodbye for now, and I'll talk to you later.
Bye.